Shalom, shalom. This is your brother Malak Yasharala. All praise to the Most High. In His Son's name, Yahawah. This is Hebrew Israelite Kryptonite Part 2 Dietary Laws. If you're just tuning in, watch Part 1 first before you even watch this one. Part 1 is basically breaking down the Most High's commandments when it comes to what we should be eating, what we should be putting in our body. Part 1 is also breaking down what the Most High hates. And basically, I'm breaking down scriptures that the Most High hates when we kill animals unrighteously. So definitely, before you even watch this video, check out Part 1, and you can see the breakdown of each individual scripture. So we're just going to get right into it. As you already know, this video is for Hebrew Israelites, the so-called Hispanics, so-called Blacks, so-called Indigenous, and all other Hebrew Israelites that are scattered across the earth. So a commandment is anything that's commanded to us from the Most High. We should already know how to make righteous decisions, but unfortunately we don't. So this is where the Most High commandments helps us out. It's basically a measuring stick, and it guides us to righteous decisions. And when we do right, most of the time we get right. All right. How do we turn back to our Father? How do we show that we love our Father? By keeping His commandments at the best of our ability. All right. So definitely watch Part 1 first if you haven't watched it, of the Dietary Laws. This is Part 2, so we're going to jump right into it. So I'm trying to move through it because I have a lot to cover, and I'm probably going to have to most likely make a Part 3. So let's get right into it. So we have Genesis chapter 9, verse 3 and 7. All right. So we have, every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you. Even as the green herb have I given you all things. But flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat. So this word meat right here, don't be fooled. And also too, whenever you read and study the Bible, it's good to have some type of tool, some type of concordance that's going to translate the English back into the Hebrew. And it's going to help you be able to put together the pieces if the Most High give you that understanding. So every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you. So meat, this basically means useful. So every moving thing that liveth shall be useful for you. Even as the green herb have I given you all things. So of course he's not saying that every moving thing shall be meat, we can eat, because that means basically everything. Pig, clams, shrimp, but this is not what this means. So every moving Every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you, even as the green herb have I given you all things. But flesh with the life thereof, which the blood thereof, shall ye not eat. And surely your blood of your lives will I require. At the hand of every beast will I require it, and at the hand of man. At the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man. Whosoever sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of God made he man. In you be ye fruitful and multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth, and multiply therein. So if you remember in part 1 of the video, when we was going through Genesis, the Most High wants animals to multiply, to have children. All right. That's what the Most High wants. So the Most High is telling us straight up, we can use an animal. An animal is useful to us. But that doesn't mean that we can murder them. All right. Or exchange our money and pay for somebody to murder them and eat them. All right. So we have those verses right there. And basically, the Most High don't want us to shed the blood of an innocent animal. All right. So that's Genesis chapter 9, verse 3 and 7. Now let's go to Numbers chapter 11. All right. So this right here is a lot. I didn't want to read it all, due to time. But let's see if I can skim. And I encourage you to read this. Definitely read through it and break it down. What this is, our ancestors, when they came out of Egypt, they wanted to still do the things of when they were in the Egyptian government of bondage, and they wanted flesh to eat. All right. So, matter of fact, let's just read it. Numbers chapter 11. And when the people complained, it displeased the Lord, and the Lord heard it, and his anger was kindled, and the fire of the Lord burnt among them and consumed them that were in the uttermost parts of the camp. And the people cried unto Moses. And when Moses prayed unto the Lord, the fire was quenched. And he called the name of the place Taberah, because the fire of Yahawah burnt among them. And the mixed multitude that was among them fell a lusting. And the people of Israel also wept again and said, who shall give us flesh to eat? We remember the fish which we did eat in Egypt freely, the cucumbers and the melons and the leeks and the onions and the garlic. But now our soul is dried away. There is nothing at all besides this manna before our eyes. And the manna was as coriander seed, and the color thereof as the color of bdellium. And the people went about and gathered it and ground it in mills, or beat it in a mortar, and baked it in pans and made cakes of it. And the taste of it was as a taste of fresh oil. And when the dew fell upon the camp in the night, the manna fell upon it. Then Moses heard the people weep throughout their families, every man in the door of his tent. And the anger of the Lord was kindled greatly. Moses also was displeased. Verse 11. And Moses said unto Yahawah, wherefore hast thou afflicted thy servant? And wherefore have I not found favor in thy sight, that thou layest the burden of all this people upon me? Have I conceived all this people? Have I begotten them? That thou shouldest say unto me, carry them in thy bosom as a nursing father, beareth the sucking child unto the land which thou swearest unto their fathers? When should I have flesh to give unto all this people? For they weep unto me, saying, Give us flesh, that we may eat. I am not able to bear all this people alone, because it is too heavy for me. And if thou deal thus with me, kill me, I pray thee, out of hand. If I have found favor in thy sight, and let me not see the wretchedness. Verse 16. And Yahawah said unto Moses, Gather unto me 70 men of the elders of Israel, whom thou knowest to be the elders of the people, and officers over them, and bring them unto the tabernacle of the congregation, that they may stand there with me. And I will come down and talk with thee there. And I will take of the spirit which is upon thee, and I will put it upon them, and they shall bear the burden of the people with thee, that thou bear it not thyself alone. And say thou unto the people, Sanctify yourselves against tomorrow, and ye shall eat flesh, for ye have wept in the ears of Yahawah, saying, Who shall give us flesh to eat? For it was well with us in Egypt. Therefore Yahawah will give us flesh, and ye shall eat. I'm sorry. I'm going to read that again. Verse 18. For it was well with us in Egypt. Therefore Yahawah will give you flesh, and ye shall eat. Verse 19. Ye shall not eat one day, nor 2 days, nor 5 days, nor 10 days, nor 20 days, but even a whole month, until it come out at your nostrils, and it be loathsome unto you, because that ye have despised Yahawah which is among you, and have wept before him, saying, Why came we forth out of Egypt? Verse 21. And Moses said, The people among whom I am are 600,000 footmen, and thou hast said, I will give them flesh, that they may eat a whole month. Shall the flocks and the herds be slain for them to suffice them? Or shall all the fish of the sea be gathered together for them to suffice them? And Yahawah said unto Moses, Is Yahawah's hand waxed short? Thou shalt see now whether my word shall come to pass unto thee or not. And Moses went out and told the people the words of Yahawah, and gathered the 70 men of the elders of the people, and set them round about the tabernacle. And Yahawah came down in the cloud, and spake unto him, and took of the spirit that was upon him, and gave it unto 70 elders. And it came to pass that when the spirit rested upon them, they prophesied and did not cease. But there remained 2 of the men in the camp. The name of the one was Eldad, and the name of the other Medad. And the spirit rested upon them, and they were of them that were written, but went not out unto the tabernacle, and they prophesied in the camp. Verse 27. And there ran a young man and told Moses, and said, Eldad and Medad do prophesy in the camp. And Joshua, the son of Nun, the servant of Moses, one of the young men, answered and said, My lord Moses, forbid them. And Moses said unto him, Envious thou for my sake? Would God that all Yahawah's people were prophets, and that Yahawah would put his spirit among them. And Moses gat him into the camp, he and the elders of Israel. Verse 31. And there went forth a wind from Yahawah and brought quails from the sea and let them fall by the camp, as it were a day's journey on this side, and as it were a day's journey on the other side, round about the camp, and as it were 2 cubits high upon the face of the earth. And the people stood up all that day and all that night and all the next day, and they gathered the quails. He that gathers least gathers 10 homers, and they spread them all abroad for themselves round about the camp. And while the flesh was yet between their teeth, ere it was chewed, the wrath of Yahawah was kindled against the people, and Yahawah smote the people with a great plague. And he called the name of that place Kibrath Hatava. Excuse my pronunciation, because there they buried the people that lusted, and the people journeyed from Kibrahathva unto Kazaroth and abode in Hazeroth. So basically, what we just read, the Most High gave our ancestors a diet, gave our ancestors the food that they should eat. All right. And it wasn't flesh. It wasn't flesh. But with the people, they wanted to do what they did in Egypt. Most likely they grew up in Egypt. They're used to killing life and eating its flesh. So that's what they was used to. And that's basically what they wanted to continue to do. And they did it, and they lusted for it. So lust, they lusted for something that was not right, that was evil, for an animal. In order to eat an animal, that animal has to die. So what the Most High did, even though these people didn't kill these animals. That's what they wanted, and they got judged for it. The ones who ate it, the ones who ate the flesh. All right, so they didn't want to live the way the Most High wanted to live. They was used to their old way of living. All right, so that's that right there. So because they ate that flesh, they were treated as if they killed those animals. All right, so, and that's basically what happens to us today when we're punished by the Most High. It's not so much a lightning. When we sin and lightning strikes us, we're cursed through our sin. All right, so by our wrongful decision making. So these people was cursed because they broke the commandments. They killed an animal unrighteously. So that's the reason why they had a illness and they died. And that's what happens today. That's what happens today. We have, why is it that so-called Black people are leading in heart disease, cancers? It's because we're different. We was given these laws. We're supposed to protect the animals. We're supposed to have dominion over these animals. If you look it up, it's probably most likely millions animals die every day. Every day. The ones on the land, not counting the ones in the sea. So that's just an example. And the Most High doesn't change. What he hated years ago, he hates today. What he loves today, he loved years ago. He doesn't change. His plan is to multiply life, is to give life. All right. And don't worry, we're going to get into Leviticus. All right, we're going to get into Leviticus 11. So let's keep it moving. Let's do Psalms 78, 17 through 31. And they sin yet more against him by provoking the Most High in the wilderness. We just got finished reading this. All right. So what we read was the precept. Verse 18. And they tempted God in their heart by asking meat for their lusts. Yea, they spake against God. They said, can God furnish a table in the wilderness? Behold, he smote the rock that the waters gushed out and the streams overflowed. Can he give bread also? Can he provide flesh for his people? Therefore, Yahawah heard this and was wroth. So a fire was kindled against Jacob, and anger also came up against Israel, because they believed not in God and trusted not in his salvation, though he had commanded the clouds from above and opened the doors of heaven and had rained down manna upon them to eat, and had given them of the corn of heaven. Remember that coriander seed, the corn of heaven, not flesh. This is what the Most High wants us to eat. And this was like the best. This probably really was good for the body. Not probably. This was good for the body and for the mind. It's saying in the cloud, but deeper. What the clouds are is deeper than what it's saying. All right. It wasn't like the clouds that you see. When we break down these scriptures and these words and precept, it's like it's in code. So then check this out. Rain down manna upon them to eat and gave them of the corn of heaven. Let's go before that. Though he had commanded the clouds from above and opened the doors of heaven. So it was a shipment, pretty much. I don't want to use that word shipment, but it was delivered to them. That food, that type of food, the corn of heaven. All right. Verse 25, man did eat angels' food. He sent them meat to the full. He caused an east wind to blow in the heaven, and by his power he brought in the south winds. He rained flesh also upon them as dust, and feathered fowls like as the sand of the sea. And he let it fall in the midst of their camp, round about their habitations. So they did eat, and were well filled, for he gave them their own desire. They were not estranged from their lust, but while their meat was yet in their mouths, the wrath of God came upon them and slew the fattest of them and smote down the chosen men of Israel. All right, so the Most High doesn't play. He doesn't play. The Most High killed those animals, and basically that was kind of like a test for them, right? So the Most High doesn't play. He gave the diet that he always chose for us. It wasn't flesh. It wasn't animal flesh. All right. They call this manna the corn of heaven. All right. So let's move on. And the Most High, he had mercy on whoever he wants to have mercy on. But I'm gonna tell you straight up, like this is serious times right now that we're going in. You can't put everything in your body. Flesh. You just got to be careful. You know what you're drinking, what you're allowing, others to inject in your body. You got to be careful. But we're not supposed to kill and eat animal flesh unrighteously, right? That's not an everyday thing that we're supposed to be eating animal flesh. And I'm going to break that down further also. Let's go to Genesis chapter 6, 19 to 22. All right, so now this is Noah in his ark. So let's read about it. Genesis chapter 6, verse 19 through 22. And of every living thing of all flesh, 2 of every sort shall thou bring into the ark, to keep them alive with thee. They shall be male and female, of fowls after their kind, and of cattle after their kind, of every creeping thing of the earth after his kind. 2 of every sort shall come unto thee, to keep them alive. And take thou unto thee of all food that is eaten, and thou shalt gather it to thee, and it shall be food. It shall be for food for thee and for them. Thus did Noah according to all that God commanded him, so he did. All right. So the Most High, same thing. He wants animals to live. And Noah is basically, he has dominion over these animals. Kind of like taking it back with Adam. Having dominion doesn't mean to kill, to murder these animals unrighteously and eat their flesh. That's a sin, according to scripture that we read in part 1. So verse 19, of every living thing of all flesh, right? Male and female. And a reason to keep them alive with thee, right? Now that's important, to keep them alive with thee. All right. Verse 21, and take thou unto thee of all food that is eaten, and thou shalt gather it to thee. So that's from the ground. This is not animals. They didn't eat these animals. They didn't take on extra animals to eat on the ark. They was eating the diet that the Most High gave them. All right. And it shall be for food for thee and for them. Thus did Noah, according to all that God commanded, so he did. God is the Most High is the same. He wants life. He wants life for the animals and for us. All right. Let's go to Genesis chapter 8, 15 and 17. Genesis. And God spake unto Noah, saying, go forth of the ark, thou and thy wife, and thy sons, wives with thee. Verse 17, bring forth with thee every living thing that is with thee of all flesh, both of fowl and of cattle, and of every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, that they may breed abundantly in the earth, and be fruitful and multiply upon the earth. The Most High did not create life to kill it. His mission is for him to multiply. That's what we're reading right now. That they may breed abundantly in the earth and be fruitful and multiply. So the Most High was destroying the wickedness that was going on, but he wanted animals to live. And Moses is doing Noah is doing a job that all of us should be doing, protecting these animals, helping them multiply. There's no reason why the ocean should be murky and nasty looking. That's because you have big businesses collecting all the fish, the crabs, the shrimp. That's supposed to be cleaning the ocean. And then we have our brothers and sisters who are eating, who's exchanging their money for that stuff. All right. So that's important. All right. These animals wasn't brought on the ark to be eaten. All right. So let's keep it moving. Let's go Genesis chapter 7, verse 1 and 3. And it's important to keep these commandments at the best of our ability, because what happens is that once we keep in these laws, we become smarter, we become wiser. You know, it may sound silly, but it affects our brain. The things we put in our body affects the things that we're able to understand and comprehend. Genesis 7, verse 1 and 3. And Yahawah said unto Noah, come thou and all thy house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation. Of every clean beast thou shalt take of thee by sevens, the male and his female, and of the beasts that are not clean by two, the male and his female, of fowls, also of the air by sevens, the male and the female, to keep seed alive upon the face of the earth. All right. So if you see that, so what you're going to see in the next couple of verses that I'm going to read is that it's a reason why the Most High is saying of the clean and of the unclean. All right. So we're going to understand this in the next verses. So let's go to the next chapter, Genesis 8, verse 19 to 21. All right, well, let's start it from verse 18. And Noah went forth, and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives with him. Every beast, every creeping thing, and every fowl, and whatsoever creepeth upon the earth, after their kinds, went forth out of the ark. And Noah built an altar unto Yahawah, and took of every clean beast and of every clean fowl, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. And Yahawah smelled a sweet savor. And Yahawah said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground anymore for man's sake. For the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I again smite anymore everything living as I have done. All right. So this is the reason why the Most High commanded Noah to take extra clean animals. Extra clean animals. Verse 20, and Noah built an altar unto Yahawah, and took every clean beast and every clean fowl, and offered a burnt offering. So now we're getting into altar work. All right. We're getting into altar work. So what Noah did, yes, see, he had the extra clean animals for the sacrifice, but enough clean animals so that they can live and fulfill the earth, help the earth stay healthy. All right. So yeah, so those animals. Oh, okay. So yeah, we got that. Were offered in an altar. Now check this out. Now, and Yahawah smelled a sweet savor, and Yahawah said in his heart. So now we got to be careful with this right here. So what a lot of us, a lot of our brothers, say is, okay, yeah, the Most High came down and he smelled some nice flesh, and it was sweet for him. But we got to break this down. We got to break this down into the Hebrew. So we have smelled, and also sweet, and then savor. So this smell is not, is not that the Most High came in his nose and he just smelled some fresh barbecue, like he just came past Burger King or Ruby Tuesdays or something like that. and he smelled the seasoning, that that Noah put on the grill. This doesn't mean that. This is more like, if you break it down, probably like breathed. He breathed on it. He agreed, or he accepted. He accepted basically the sacrifice. That's what it's saying. It's not saying that he's like, yeah, I want me some animal flesh. You know what I'm saying? I want me some flame broiled whopper. That's not what he's saying. What this is saying right here, and this is the thing. This is translated in English, but is off. The words is off. You got to have a translator tool, like a concordance, to be able to translate these words. And even on top of that, you got to have the understanding from the Most High to be able to puzzle this information together. But he's not agreeing with like, oh yeah, you know what I'm saying, kill my creations. No, we just read that he wants life. He don't want death. He don't want these animals to be killed. But what happened, this is a sacrifice. And this is a sacrifice, a big sacrifice. This was a big sacrifice of these animals because of the sin that the world have done. That's what that was. This was a sacrifice. So when you do altar work, basically, I don't want to say this incorrectly. The best people to talk to, the brothers, is the Levites. Ask them about altar work. They'll break it down for you. And people are quick to say, oh, voodoo this and voodoo that. This is some deep stuff. And the Most High is righteous. So what's happening here is not so much that the Most High is saying, yes, my animals are dying, my life that I'm creating. He's satisfied with the exchange. He's satisfied with the exchange of innocent animal for the sins. All right, who the sacrifice was for. And what is sin? Sin is transgression of the law. Sin is basically making unrighteous decisions. So that's what this is. Smelled a sweet savor. It is not that he thinks it smells good. That's disrespectful to say that, about the Most High. Basically, what the Most High is saying is that this right here, when you break it down, smelled a sweet savor. Basically, he's in agreement. It's been satisfied, pretty much, the sacrifice. All right. And remember clean and unclean, because that's going to come up again in Leviticus. And remember, this tied into the sacrifice in altar work. All right. So let's go to Jeremiah chapter 7, verse 21 through 23. All right. Thus says the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, put your burnt offerings unto your sacrifices and eat flesh. For I spake not unto your fathers, nor commanded them in the day that I brought them out of the land of Egypt concerning burnt offerings or sacrifices. But this thing commanded I them, saying, obey my voice, and I will be your God, and ye shall be my people. And walk ye in all the ways that I have commanded you, that it may be well unto you. Basically, what he's saying, make correct choices, make righteous choices. And if you don't know how to make righteous choices, ask the Most High or read his commandments. So basically what he's saying is that obey my voice. Obedience is better than the technique of sacrifice, of transferring that life on an altar. That's basically what he's saying. He says he didn't He didn't want our ancestors to do that technique. He wanted our ancestors to obey him, to live righteously. He didn't want animals to die. That's not what the Most High wants. He don't want that. So that's what that verse means right here. He's saying, who cares about your, what he's saying is that just live righteously. All right. And you won't have to sacrifice. Period. That's basically what he's saying. All right, let's move on. That's Jeremiah chapter 7, verse 21, 23. Now let's go to, remember, now we're getting into altar work. We're getting into sacrifice. And we're going to see how that ties in of the big misunderstanding that eating flesh of animals is okay and is our everyday diet. That's far from the truth, according to scripture. All right, so let's go to Leviticus 17, 11. All right. For the life of the flesh is in the blood, and I have given it to you upon the altar to make an atonement for your souls. For it is the blood that maketh an atonement for the soul. So what the Most High is breaking down to us, what he's saying, he's breaking it down that animal flesh is not for us to just murder and kill. Just because we want a tasty meal, we want to put some seasoning on some flesh, or because we was came in eating flesh by our parents. And a lot of this is not our fault. A lot of this is, we can point it to our parents, and you can even go deeper in that. You can point all the way to the Most High allowing us to go into captivity because of our sin. But we was given scrapple, we was given flesh, but flesh is not our original diet. That's why we get sick. A person who eats righteously lives much longer than someone who doesn't eat righteously. So a person who eats from the earth lives way longer than someone who eats flesh. Research it. So-called vegans lives much longer than someone who eats animal flesh. And why is that? Because that's the curse. That's the punishment. That's the punishment, sickness, for exchanging our money for the death of that animal and then eating it. Now, also, too, eating animals, as we see right here, is deeper than just eating and getting full. Power. Sometimes power is tied to that animal flesh, and you don't even realize it. When you're allowing your oppressors to feed you with their businesses, you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. That can be sacrificed meat. That can be meat that's has all types of spells on it. This altar stuff is real. This stuff is real. Some people call it magic. Call it whatever you want. You got to be careful eating animal flesh. When you start to see people killing other people for a crispy chicken sandwich, you see lines and lines because a fast food restaurant is introducing a new chicken sandwich. Like, isn't that suspicious? Why is that? Why is people fighting? Why is lines just around the building for this chicken sandwich? Most likely and probably is because there's spells on that meat that sacrifice meat to their gods. So for the life of the flesh is the blood. So that's what the Most High didn't give us flesh to just kill and eat. He says, and I have given it to you upon the altar to make an atonement for your souls. It's to make an atonement for our souls. For it is the blood that maketh an atonement for the soul. For the life of the flesh is in the blood. You got to realize that blood has been pumping through our bodies, through animals' bodies for all its life. All its life. You can try to drain it out, but that blood is in the muscle, is in the bone, is in the veins, is in there. And also, too, we can't cook blood out. Don't think that the blood is evaporating out, because it's not. All right, so that's Leviticus 17:11. So the Most High is telling us, I'm not saying this, the Most High is saying what flesh is for. What is animal flesh for? It's to be used as a technique for atonement of the souls. That's what this is a technique to get us right. Favor for favor. Well, I shouldn't even say favor for favor. Ought to work of killing that flesh for our souls. Some people call it good luck, to be blessed, so that our bad things may be wiped away. So that's what animals. Now, did the Most High, remember all the scriptures that we read, he wants animals to have life. So he don't desire animals to die on an altar, but it satisfies his wrath. Now, I'm not going to get too deep into sacrifices and what's really happening when we sacrifice animals. Like I said, the best person or people to talk to is the Levites, our big brothers, the ones who are awoke and the ones who keep these commandments. They can break down what happens when you sacrifice something. Talk to the Haitians that's in the truth. They'll break it down to you. It's real. It's real. And a lot of our people are cursed. That's the reason why they can't stop eating animal flesh, because they're under a spell. But it takes the Most High to break it. All right, so let's go to same chapter, Leviticus 17. Let's go to 1 and 4. Verse 1 and 4. And Yahawah spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto Aaron and unto his sons and unto all the children of Israel, and say unto them, this is the thing which Yahawah hath commanded, saying, what man soever there be of the house of Israel that killeth an ox or lamb or goat in the camp, or that killeth it out of the camp, and bringeth it not unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation to offer an offering unto Yahawah before the tabernacle of Yahawah, blood shall be imputed unto that man, and unto that man he hath shed blood, and that man shall be cut off from among his people. Come on, scripture after scripture. The Most High says if anybody kills an animal and don't bring it to him, and this is the Most High talking, don't bring it to the Most High as an offering, then bloodshed has been put on him, and he shall be cut off from his people. Most likely that man shall die for killing that animal. The Most High hates it, just like what we read. I hope you watched part 1, because I broke it down. The Most High hates the killing of animals. He's saying it right here. If that animal is being killed, whether it's outside the camp, and he's talking to us, Hebrew Israelites. If that animal is killed outside the camp, because the reason why the Most High wants us to bring it to him is so that it can be sacrificed to him and no other gods. He don't want to sacrifice to no other gods. Yes, a lot of our big brothers have fell off. They're sacrificing to other gods, but they know the altar work. from their ancestors. It's been passed down to them. But a lot of our brothers are coming back to the truth, and they're repenting from offering up to different gods. So we are not to kill animals. But if it's a sacrifice to Yahawah, when Yahawah used to come, when we had our land, that was okay. Really, it wasn't okay because we were supposed to be obedient. So why need a sacrifice if we're obedient? But because of disobedience and sin, this is the only time you're supposed to kill an animal. I'm sorry. Let me correct. Let me say that again. This is what we call a righteous kill with an animal. Also, righteous kills are if an animal is caught having sex, or if an animal, period, has sex within a human, that animal is to be killed, and that human is to be killed. If that animal unrighteously kills a human, that animal is to be killed. Other than that, the killed animal is supposed to be brought into the temple of the Most High. It is what it is. The Most High loves animals, and he hates it when they're being killed. And I get it. I understand who was born, into this system of hell. So I get it. But I encourage you to learn how to feed yourself, learn how to eat righteously, meaning learn how to eat what you're supposed to eat. Learn different meals, that's eaten from the ground, fruits, vegetables. You got to start somewhere. So when we're exchanging our money for that food to eat, we're paying for that animal to be killed. So it's just like we're killing that animal. This ain't me. This is the scripture that basically we're breaking down right now. All right. So now let's go to Exodus 29, 32, 34. And Aaron and his sons shall eat the flesh of the ram and the bread that is in the basket by the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And they shall eat those things wherewith the atonement was made, to consecrate and to sanctify them. But a stranger shall not eat thereof, because they are holy. And it ought of the flesh of the consecrations or of the bread remain unto the morning. Then thou shalt burn the remainder with fire. It shall not be eaten, because it is holy. So with the Most High, what we're reading right here is the technique. It's telling us the technique of a sacrifice. Verse 33, and they shall eat those things wherewith the atonement was made, to consecrate and to sanctify them. So when something is sacrificed to the Most High, you do the altar work. And then when you eat it, you're eating the flesh. What that's doing is consecrating. It's basically is making what you're asking for stronger. It's like you're confirming what you were doing. It's kind of like, I want to use this word, magic meat that's going to bless your life. And yes, this is real. This stuff is real. This is altar work. And by understanding these techniques, this is going to help us understand what Leviticus, further in the unclean and clean animals, Leviticus 11. This is going to help us understand what's going on. But eating flesh is sin. It's causing us not to be blessed in our life. This is how they're doing it. They're causing our people to be weak, to be separated from the Most High by feeding us meat. And everybody's not going to get this. Everybody's not going to get this. I believe possibly, I'm not going to say only the elect is going to be able to get this and understand it, but everybody's not going to get this. You know, a lot of our people lust over the death and the eating of the flesh. You know, the lust of the flesh is strong. And also, too, it's not so much that animal flesh tastes good. It's the seasoning that makes it taste good. All right. So let's go to, and also let's go 34. And it ought of the flesh of the consecration or of the bread remain unto the morning, then thou shalt burn it. The remainder. The reason why is because the Most High don't want anybody else to eat this flesh. It's like magic. Magic meat is blessed meat. Anybody who eats it is going to be blessed. All right. Yeah. So consecration. That's the reason why they ate the clean flesh to consecrate. I believe it's malay malau. That's how you say it in Hebrew. But yeah, you have to look it up and you have to break it down. All right, so let's go to, that was Exodus 29, 34. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 10. Leviticus chapter 10. All right, so this is another, for the sake of time, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but please read it. Please read it. What's going on here? Now, in order to understand Leviticus chapter 11, you got to understand Leviticus chapter 10. All right. Leviticus chapter 11 is not the dietary law. We have to stop teaching it as if it is the dietary law. No, it's the sacrificial law to consecrate. That's what Leviticus chapter 11 is. So we're going to prove it with Leviticus chapter 10, the previous chapter. In order to understand it, you got to read the previous chapter. You can't just read chapter 11 and try to get an understanding. You got to read Leviticus chapter 10. So what's going on here? Altar work is taking place with the Levites. Aaron's sons messed up on the offering to the Most High. When you're doing altar work, everything got to be correct. Every single thing has to be correct. Even the way you live in your life has to be correct doing altar work. Because what you're doing is you're entertaining a spirit. You're entertaining the Most High. One little mistake can cost your life. So as you read, that's what happened with Aaron's sons. They messed up and they got killed. All right. And please read it. So because of that, the Most High doesn't enjoy killing his people, but he enjoys justice. He enjoys justice. As you read, they lit up a different type of fire. And you can go into deeper what that fire was. So now, because of the Most High doesn't want to kill his people, his beloved people, he's given step-by-step directions on how to do altar work. He's given commandments. He's breaking it down. Verse 8. And Yahawah spake unto Aaron, saying, do not drink wine nor strong drink, thou nor thy sons with thee, when ye go into the tabernacle of the congregation, lest ye die. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations, and that ye may put difference between holy and unholy, and between unclean and clean. Remember that. We're going to talk about that in the next chapter. And that ye may teach the children of Israel all the statutes which Yahawah hath spoken unto them by the hand of Moses. And Moses spake unto Aaron and unto Eleazar and unto Lethmar, his sons that were left, take the meat offering that remaineth of the offerings of the Lord made by fire, and eat it without leaven beside the altar, for it is most holy. Remember, eating, this is what 11 is talking about. But if we read 11, chapter 11 by itself, we're just going to think that, oh, yeah, that's the dietary law. That's what we should eat. No. Chapter 11 is talking about altar work. We eat it to consecrate. And ye shall eat it in the holy place, because it is thy due, and thy sons' due, of the sacrifices of the Lord made by fire. Right? Verse 13 is telling you right here. And it's going to flow to 11. For so I am commanded. In the wave breast and half shoulder and heave shoulder shall ye eat in the clean place, thou and thy sons and thy daughters with thee, for they be thy due and thy sons' due, which are given out of the sacrifices of peace offerings of the children of Israel. The heave shoulder and the wave breast shall thou bring with the offerings made by fire of the fat, to wave it for in wave offering before Yahawah, and it shall be thine and thy sons with thee by statute forever, as Yahawah hath commanded. And Moses diligently sought the goat of the sin offering, and behold, it was burnt. And he was angry with Eleazar and Lethmar, the sons of Aaron, which were left alive, saying, wherefore have ye not eaten the sin offering in the holy place, seeing it is most holy? And God have given it to bear the iniquity of congregation, to make atonement for them before Yahawah. So Moses is talking to Aaron, saying, why didn't you eat? Why didn't you eat it? Remember, we just learned about consecration. He's saying, why didn't you eat it? Right? Behold, verse 18, behold, the blood of it was brought in within the holy place. Ye should instead have eaten it in the holy place, as I commanded. Now check what Aaron says. And Aaron said to Moses, behold, this day have thy offered their sin offering and their burnt offering before Yahawah, and such things have befallen me. And if I had eaten the sin offering today, should it have not accepted? Should it have been accepted in the sight of Yahawah? And when Moses heard that, he was content. So basically, Aaron is like, I just had my sons murdered. So you think if I would have ate it, you think that would have changed anything? You think they wouldn't have been murdered? So Moses is like, all right, yeah, I got you. I feel you. Yeah, you're right. So basically, the Most High is giving step-by-step directions when it comes to altar work and eating the clean things. Remember, this is chapter 10. All right. I'm sorry. Yep, this is chapter 10. So now let's go to the next chapter. Chapter 11. Now, this right here, this is where our brothers are teaching that it's okay to eat animals. Yeah. So this right here, chapter 11, read this. Remember, chapter 10 is flowing. Got to read in context. It's flowing together. So Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron, saying unto them, right? He's still speaking to Aaron and Moses, still speaking to them. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, these are the beasts which ye shall eat among all the beasts that are on the earth, whosoever parteth the hoof, and it goes on, for the clean and unclean animal. And remember, you got to remember the verses that we just read, right? We got to remember the verses. We are to bring those animals to the Levites, to the high priest, to be sacrificed. And then we eat it. So all these animals is not to be eaten every day. This is for sacrifice. So then you ask, why so many animals? Different animals does different things when you sacrifice. And again, talk to the Levites. They should be certified to teach this of the sacrifice. Different animals, different clean animals does different things. It allows you to, again, I'm not telling anybody to do sacrifices. Right. So I don't believe anybody has seen the Most High come down on your altar. So I'm not saying do sacrifice. I'm basically telling you what this is right here. This is not to eat every day. Basically, what the Most High is telling, he don't want to kill people. So he's still giving details on what is clean and what is unclean. Just like in 10, what is clean and what is unclean. Aaron's sons did some unclean stuff, and they got killed for it. So the Most High doesn't want anybody else to get killed because they're offering wrong. All right. So this is a sacrificial law. This is not the dietary law. It is not. And when I say dietary law, it's not law of what we should be eating every day. This is what we should eat to consecrate, to make atonement. This is what this is for, atonement. And once we stop killing animals, we're going to see blessings abundantly happen to us. So-called good luck is going to happen to us and our people. So stop. We need to repent. Stop eating, stop killing animals and eating this flesh. Especially when the choices are out here of eating from the ground that produces seed. Now, if you're in a situation where as though you can't, you can't eat what you're supposed to be eating and you got to eat meat, that's a different story. The Most High have mercy on whoever he had mercy for. So you'll be blessed. You'll be blessed. You'll see. You'll level up like crazy by keeping the Most High commandments and eating what you're supposed to be eating and not killing. All right. So let's go to Deuteronomy 14, 22, 23. All right. Thou shalt truly tithe all the increase of thy seed, that the field bringeth forth year by year. And thou shalt eat before Yahawah your power in the place which he shall choose to place his name there. The tithe of thy corn, of thy wine, and of thine oil, and the firstlings of thy herds, and of thy flocks, that thou mayest learn to fear Yahawah your power always. So there we go. Again, to eat. To eat is altar work in front of Yahawah for a purpose of atonement. And when you're eating, you're consecrating. You're confirming. You're making that blessing stronger. You ever see those wicked movies? Those wicked movies where as though the person does a sacrifice and then they're eating and drinking the blood and stuff like that. They know the techniques, but they're doing it to their wicked gods. If you look at these secret societies, they know all this already. A lot of these secret societies know all this that I'm teaching, and they do it, and they prosper with their God. They would never. Some of these people they sell animal flesh, but they will never eat animal flesh. But they're making money off of you. While we're getting sick for eating the flesh, the animal meat. All right, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 12, 5 and 7. But unto the place which Yahawah your power shall choose out of all your tribes to put his name there, even unto his habitation shall ye seek, and thither thou shalt come. And thither ye shall bring your burnt offerings and your sacrifices and your tithes and heave offerings of your hand, and your vows and your free will offerings, and the firstlings of your herds and of your flocks. And there ye shall eat before Yahawah your power, and ye shall rejoice in all that ye put your hand unto, ye and your households, wherein Yahawah thy God have blessed thee. So there you go again. One of the only reasons why we are to kill animals is to bring it to Yahawah and eat it in front of him. That's what it's saying right here. And what happens? We get blessed. So are we blessed when we kill animals and eat it outside of Yahawah? No, it doesn't say that. It doesn't say that. We will not be blessed because we just read all them scriptures. And also in part 1 of this video of dietary law. We do right, we get right. So let's scroll down to 22 and 23. All right, let's start with verse 19. Take heed to thyself that thou forsake not the Levite as long as thou livest upon the earth. When Yahawah, our power, shall enlarge thy borders, as he hath promised thee, and thou shalt say, I will eat flesh, because thy soul longeth to eat flesh. Thou mayest eat flesh, whosoever thy soul lusteth after. If the place which Yahawah thy power hath chosen to put his name there be too far from thee, then thou shalt kill of thy herd and of thy flock, which Yahawah hath given thee, as I have commanded thee, and thou shalt eat in thy gates whosoever thy soul lusteth after. Even as the roebuck in the hart is eaten, so thou shalt eat them. The unclean and the clean shall eat of them alike. Only be sure that thou eat not the blood, for the blood is the life, and thou mayest not eat the life of the flesh. So there's a lot going on here. So let's break it down. Take heed that we do not forsake the Levite, right? As long as we live upon the earth. So Levites is like our big brother. They're supposed to be the ones that know the law left and right. They're supposed to be the ones that correct us when we're in error when it comes to the laws and the commandments. So much respect to the Levites who are keeping these laws at the best of their ability and who are teaching the brethren, and the sisters out here. Howard has, okay. So when Yahawah, our power, shall enlarge thy borders as he hath promised thee, and thou shalt say, I will eat flesh, because thy soul longeth to eat flesh. Thou mayest eat flesh, whatsoever thou soul lusteth after. So this is not saying eat everything. You know what I'm saying? It's not saying eat everything whatsoever we want. This is talking about of the clean we can eat. And what's he talking about again? It's difficult for us to understand if we don't know altar work. He's talking about on an altar. Different animals does different things. So different sacrifices is for different situations in your life. All right. And our ancestors knew this already. Most of us don't know what a dove, turtle dove does when we sacrifice it. They knew. If the place which Yahawah hath gave is chosen from thee, and shall kill a herd or flock which Yahawah has given thee, as I have commanded thee, and thou shalt eat it in the gates wherever our soul lusteth. So again, he's saying wherever thy soul lusteth. It's not talking about all animals. This is talking about you can sacrifice and you can consecrate clean animals, even as a roebuck and a hart. These are clean animals. Clean meaning it's okay to sacrifice. It's worthy. Clean means that it's worthy. It's acceptable if it's sacrificed correctly to the Most High. And we shall eat them. Then it goes the unclean and the clean. The unclean and the clean shall eat of them alike. Now, be careful. This is not saying that we can eat unclean and clean animals. It's not saying that we can eat some cow testicles or some pig gizzards. All right. It's not saying that we can eat unclean things. It's saying that the clean and the unclean. So clean and unclean. It's talking about us, clean and unclean. So, for an example, when a woman is on her menstrual cycle, she's considered unclean. If a man has an issue coming out of his, you know what I'm saying, his pride, his, you know what I'm saying, his manhood, then he's considered unclean. All right. But what the Most High is saying is, even as the roebuck and the hart is eaten, so thou shalt eat them. The unclean and the clean shall eat of them alike. All right. So basically, that's what's going on right here. The Most High is saying the clean and the unclean is allowed to eat and take part of the eating of this sacrifice, of the sacrifices. All right, so let's so be careful with that. Don't think that means that we can eat unclean things, right? It's not. And again, remember, we've been trained in our mind throughout the years being in this captivity that it's okay to kill and eat animal flesh. We was taught the scriptures wrong. We didn't know any better. All right, let's go to Hosea, and we're going to finish it up because I spent a lot of time. I didn't want to spend too much time because a lot of us, we have a short attention span. I wanted to make it short, but all praise to the Most High. So let's go to Hosea chapter 8, verse 13. They sacrifice flesh for the sacrifices of mine offerings and eat it, but Yahawah accepteth them not. Now will he remember their iniquity and visit their sins. They shall return to Egypt. So what the Most High is saying is that killing an animal and sacrificing it doesn't mean that we're going to have a blessed life or so-called good luck in our life. If you read here, it says, and also they ate it. So they knew the technique. They sacrificed the animal flesh and they ate it. They knew the technique. But the Lord accepteth them not. Now will he remember their iniquity. So what they were doing, and if you read this in context, the whole thing, they were sinning. They were sinning. So that's disrespectful to the Most High, and the Most High counts this as a murder. He counts it as a murder, as they murdered that animal because they did a sacrifice. They killed the innocent animal for their wrong decision made, their sinful ways, but yet they continue to sin. It's playing the Most High for a joke, and it's disrespecting his creation of animals. The Most High don't want those animals to die. He's allowing these animals to be murdered for their sin, for their wrongdoing. But he don't like that. As we read all these scriptures, the Most High loves animals. He's seen that it was good. And he wanted them to multiply. Not wanted, he wants them to multiply. Just like he wants you to multiply and fill the earth and have dominion over it. But in this situation here, they playing games with the Most High. They're sinning left and right. And look, because they ate these animals, they not only killed these innocent animals, and they ate it. They were sinning. They still sin. So it didn't count. It didn't work. It didn't work. They shall return to Egypt. So what that means is that they will be low people of the earth, like the dust of the ground, very, very low. Very low. Bad life, having a bad life. They'll return to servitude. That was the ways of Egypt. Eating the flesh in captivity. A lot of our people, we like captivity. We like being in Egypt. So we'll continue to eat the animal flesh, knowing the truth. So what this is saying is that if we continue to kill animals and eat their flesh, we're going to stay into captivity. We may not make it into the kingdom. We may not be the elect. So the question is, will only the elect Israelites refrain from the lust of the flesh, eating the flesh? So-called vegans, will the so-called vegans, Israelites, make it into the kingdom? Will be a part of the 144,000? So we do right, we get right. And the reason why I put out these laws, at the best of my ability, is because if we know right, we have an option now. We have a chance to do what's right. If we don't hear this, then how can we do right? So yeah. So on that note, and we want to get into a third video, part 3. Did Yahawah really eat fish? What did Paul eat? What was Paul's diet? Is that a good idea? To eat anything that's sacrificed to another god? So we're going to break that down. John the Baptist, was he really eating on grasshoppers or locusts? So, I know this was a lie, and it is what it is. Got to repent, turn from it. And like I said, I understand people do desperate things in desperate situations. I hear people got stuck in the mountains, icebergs, and all they can do, they didn't have nothing else. So they ate each other. Yeah. You have some people are locked in prison. They can't eat correctly. They can't eat, as far as I know, they can't eat from the earth. They got to eat what's given to them, flesh. But you most likely have an option. As of right now, you have an option to eat correctly. To stop killing animals, stop exchanging your money for dead animals. So I encourage you to learn how to eat. It takes time, it takes research. Learn how to eat, learn how to cook. So-called vegan, is what they call us. Eat from the ground, anything that produces seed, that is healthy, that's good for you. All right, so on that note, all praise to the Most High. Much respect to all the camps that's putting out truth. That's encouraging the brothers to keep the commandments at the best of their ability. Much respect to the Levites, who's correcting us brothers when it comes to the laws. If and when we are in error. Most of all praise to the Most High. We give much respect to Yahawah. And this is Hebrew Israelite Kryptonite. In Hebrew is like kryptonite is basically when we don't keep the laws. That's our kryptonite. All right. Going up against the Most High, going up against our people, our righteous people, going up against ourselves. That's our kryptonite. But hopefully this has been edifying. Hit the like button. Hopefully more people can see this. Leave a comment. It is what it is. It's not coming from me. I'm just putting the message out. So on that note, until then, I'll see y'all on part 3.